Video games have come a long way, from gaming mechanics to innovative controls to voice acting and storytelling techniques. There are many different elements that add to the overall joy of gaming.
But often in contemporary games, the main things that initially attract us is how good the graphics are. Admittedly, we don't like to own up to the fact that we can be video game shallow, particularly when dazzled by flashy trailers that highlight how gorgeous the in-game graphics are.
However, it's debatable that more often than not, good graphics imply great immersion and can go a long way to pull you into the story, characters and world.
I'm Craig.
And I'm Heather, this is Amalgamingle.
And today we want to highlight 5 of our top picks of games that we believe represent the best of the PS4 era in terms of beautiful graphics and gaming immersion. For this list, we've both picked 2 games each and agreed on a number 1. With that said, on with the show.
The Assassin's Creed series is well known for creating impressive environments. They love to show off as part of the gameplay itself by having the player unlock synchronization points that provide a cinematic aerial view of the surroundings. However, it is only in recent years, with the releases of vast open world installments such as Origins, Odyssey and Valhalla, that this series comes into the forefront of people's minds as being graphically astounding. The one I would like to highlight is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is a gorgeous portrayal of ancient Greece and a world where the player can truly get lost in the beauty. It is colourful and vibrant, and I've spent hours just roaming around the world sightseeing because where this game reigns supreme is in its natural surroundings and architecture.
The famous Acropolis, a testament to humankind's skill and craftsmanship.
Throughout the world, there are loads of magnificent buildings and statues that contrast with the smaller, more humble dwellings. It's truly enjoyable to just walk around, taking everything in and immersing yourself in the culture. The world itself is breathtaking, with a variety of ocean life that really impressed me. The way the sun and moon reflect off the waves is truly awe-inspiring, and I found myself often locked in at a beautiful location taking pictures in photo mode more than anything else. I just love the way the water looks. It makes you want to dive in and go for a swim, despite it being home to lots of sharks, huge whales and other sea life. Although this game didn't necessarily pull me in story-wise, personally, I love the world and exploration. It's difficult to pinpoint specific things to mention because the entire game is beautiful. Even areas that show the aftermath of conquest battles capture the environmental after effects very well. I would also like to mention the sound effects. The sound of the horse galloping against different terrains, the sound of the ocean waves, the ambience of background chatter and citizens going about their daily lives. It all adds to the immersion. Furthermore, shout out to the voice acting for Cassandra. I always choose to play as Cassandra because I find her voice very smoothing, pleasant on the ear and bursting with personality.
You know what? Fuck you!
Horizon Zero Dawn is probably the odd one out on this list, or at least not one that might come to mind when you think of immersive and beautiful games, but it absolutely is. From the E3 trailers and gameplay reveals, we saw just how stunning this game looked from the get-go, and the game looks just as good when it was first advertised, helped by its unique setting and world building. The name of the game is Detail with Horizon, from the intricate braids of Aloy's hair to the various armours you can buy and upgrade for her, and it's not just Aloy who has detailed armour and weapons. The weapons and armour of guards, Nora Tribesmen and the bandits are all highly detailed, and the Nora are usually covered in decorative face paintings. The merchant stands you can come across are full of pieces of metal from the robots that inhabit the world, as well as different types of jars, fruits, vegetables and fish. One thing that I really love about this game is the intricacy, and what I mean by that is the machines and the cauldrons which provide a nice contrast to the natural beauty of the wider world. When it comes to the cauldrons, I love the dark lighting, heavy metal platforms and walkways that show a part of the world that has since been lost to time. You can see the way the gears, pistons, cables, wires and mechanisms all intertwine together and how each machine is unique. You'll never mistake a Thunderjaw for a Shell Walker or a Watcher for a Strider. Speaking of things lost to time, the many ruins of the old world also have a sad beauty to them, with the skeletal remains of buildings covered in overgrown flora and slowly degrading to the passage of time. Of course, Horizon is beautiful no matter where you are, from the lowlands of the Nora-controlled areas, the snowy wilderness of the Frozen Wilds DLCs, to the jungle and swamplands to the south. I also absolutely love looking up at the night sky when the moon is out and the stars are in full. And of course there's the Majesty of Meridian, one of my favourite towns in a game ever. The corrupted areas you come across also have a strange beauty in the way the red auras pulse and leave behind trails that can damage Aloy if you get too close. So don't get too distracted by the beauty of the world around you, or you may get killed by a rock breaker. If you've been watching this channel long enough, you know we're both super excited for Forbidden West, which looks to be even more impressive than Zero Dawn, so you can bet that this will be featured on a future list somewhere down the line.
What is the child but a mother's hope that takes flight?
Stay back! Don't come any closer or I'll jump!
My next entry is Detroit Become Human by Quantic Dream, which is set in a futuristic world where humanity is still adjusting to the integration of androids into their society. This story-driven 2018 action-adventure game is something I played one day on a whim, seeking respite from the endless side quests and XP farming found in the usual games I play. I did not expect to genuinely like the game, but I was immediately pulled in from the very start. From the moment android Chloe appeared on the title screen with her uncanny graphical realism, I knew this game was going to be something special.
I'm an android and I'll be your hostess.
Not only does Chloe have an eerily clinical and unnerving presence, but she is also strangely warm, hypnotic and welcoming, which perfectly captures the tone of the entire game. The story follows several interconnecting storylines of androids breaking their programming and gaining free will following emotional traumas, in this beautifully woven and fascinating story of an android revolution. Not the most original concept, but it is executed in such a way that makes it extremely captivating and engaging throughout. There was not a single character arc that did not hold my interest. The use of decision trees coupled with stunning graphics and a fascinating story further increases the game's replayability and immersion. Players can craft their own journey with decisions that greatly impact the outcome of each chapter, character relationships and overarching story. You can revisit chapters, make different decisions and unlock new outcomes outlined in the decision trees. This is a genius way to keep players coming back and experiencing something new each time, unlike other games that offer dialogue choices but give no hint of the possible outcome or scope of those choices until it's too late. No game I can think of even remotely compares to Detroit Become Human when it comes to realistic facial graphics, lip syncing and expressions. It can sometimes feel like you are watching a high quality movie with real actors rather than playing a game. The characters' eyes glisten and the deviant androids are able to convey emotions astoundingly well, ironically better than the human characters in the game. In contrast, the non-deviant androids remain deadpan and portray an uneasy level of intelligence that comes with an air of foreboding. There are other games on this list that do have better, more detailed graphics in terms of weather and different terrain, but the natural surroundings and built-up areas in this game are still worth mentioning. We are shown a bustling town centre, where excellent lighting reflections are noticeable, and when it rains, the water graphics, such as puddles and wet clothing, look very realistic. We also get to see a snowy area and accurate footprints in the snow, but the character designs are without a doubt the graphical highlight in this game. There are so many different elements that, as a whole, make this game not only graphically stunning, but an engrossing, emotional, enjoyable and customisable gaming experience.
Marching down the street. We are. Fuck if I know.
The other games on this list are beautiful and immersive in so many different ways. Colourful, vibrant, detailed, all those great sounding buzzwords. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is the one that is beautiful and immersive because of how dirty it is. What do I mean? Well, unlike the good old-fashioned John Wayne westerns, the real-life West was a harsh and unforgiving place, where civilization was being slowly expanded as more of the frontier was exposed. Now RDR2 takes place after what is considered the Western period, but it still has all the hallmarks of it, untamed and rolling hills and tundras, especially the snowy wilderness of the prologue. The entire world is teeming with life, from rivers and streams filled with fishes and boats, mud tracks filled with hooves and wheel tracks, and the riders you can greet, rob or shoot as they go about their business. Then there are the small towns full of people going about their day who you can either greet or antagonise depending on your mood, and how you play your particular Arthur Morgan. To the way Saint Denis glows in the dark and the misty glow from the lamps that illuminate a city trying to pull itself out of the mud of its western expansion. Of course, Rockstar has a reputation for bringing detail and beauty to their games, but there's more than just surface value beauty and immersion to RDR2. The beard and hair growth of Arthur, and the creases you can see on his brow, as well as the way he and his horses react to being in water. Then there's what feels like hundreds of combos for customising your guns and Arthur's clothes to make him how you want him to be. Other things include the variety of creatures from the different horse breeds and dog breeds you can find and pet, which is always a nice option, to the farmyard animals, and of course the now infamous horse testicles. Arthur is a great character, one of the greatest ever created in my humble opinion, and his interactions with the Vanderling gang are touching, funny and sometimes aggressive. And it's the interaction with the gang that really make this game feel alive. At night time you can see the gang around the fireplace, eating, talking, singing or going about odd jobs within the camp. And it's some of the camp areas that also bring the world to life, from the first camp outside Valentine to the derelict plantation house in the bayou. But for me, the biggest selling point when it comes to immersion is the world itself. One thing I've always loved about open world games is the ability to ignore absolutely everything happening and just go for a ride, stroll or go wherever takes my fancy. Alduin bringing the world to ruin in Skyrim? That can wait, I want to travel to Solitude. Need to go to Meridian? I'll liberate some bandit camps first. I always do this, but Rockstar Games have always had this particular corner of my open world journeys cornered off. Ever since playing GTA 3, I have always loved getting in a car and just driving around, touring Liberty City, which was followed by Vice City and then San Andreas. But I have never enjoyed just picking a direction and going for a ride like I do in RDR2. Sometimes you can get randomly generated side missions and odd NPC interactions, but there's something beautifully relaxing about just riding and see what waits for me over the next horizon. Be careful what you stare at, or you might get attacked by a cougar.
No mercy! Open fire! For Tsushima!
So our number one entry that we have both agreed on is Ghost of Tsushima, because when it comes to beautiful graphics and gaming immersion, it is Ghost of Tsushima that has now set the standard, and just when you thought it couldn't get any better, the Director's Cut and Iki Island DLC was released on PS5, which pushed it to a whole new level.
The story follows Jin Sakai on his journey to liberate the islands of Tsushima from an occupying Mongolian force in the 13th century. They managed to perfectly balance the natural beauty of your surroundings with the brutality of the invasion and bloodshed. From the very first battle in the opening sequence to when you can free roam around the world, it is clear why this game is something special.
Other games on this list are featured for specific reasons, such as character design, realism, nature or other, but this entry is featured for everything. Particularly how they portray natural elements such as the realistic weather, even lightning strikes, storms, snow, the crashing of the waves against the rocks, the way the wind blows through the grass, not to mention how fire looks in this game. It's both glorious and deadly to behold, and we love the effect it has on the environment around it.
The cutscenes are phenomenal and beautifully rendered, with great facial animations and level of detail. You can see the sweat, blood and tears on Jin's face, armour and clothing as he completes his quest and kills Mongols. The island also feels very alive, with shrines in hidden locations that are often found by random animal encounters, such as following golden birds to Shinto shrines, making it seem like Tsushima itself is trying to help Jin. That neatly brings us to the foxes that can also be found and lead you to Inari shrines that give you charms that help you improve Jin's abilities. Furthermore, there are also hidden altars that you can bow at and trigger interesting animations such as fish jumping out of water and frogs hopping around.
We appreciate the tranquil moments of composing a haiku or playing the flute or even relaxing in one of the many hot springs dotted around the world, not only because it's calming but also because there is nothing wrong with enjoying the male form in all its glory.
And we also cannot forget the beauty of the art styles used for the mythic tales. They feel like comic books come to life. I love the way they tell the story of legendary samurai and their awesome weapons, which you can collect for yourself, turning Jin into even more of a badass. We could talk about this game for hours, but those that have played the game are fully aware of how very few games even rival the beauty and immersion of Tsushima. If you haven't played this game, go and play it. You will not be disappointed.
There's still more out there.
So there we have it, there's our top 5 picks of the most immersive and graphically beautiful games from the PS4 era.
There are a lot of other games that could have been featured on this list, but we love too many to discuss them all, so let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with our entries. I've been Craig.
And I've been Heather, this is Amalgamingle, and thanks for watching.